When I moved into Maplewood Estates, I expected quiet suburbia, kids on bikes, barbecue smoke wafting through the air, and the occasional lawn mower. What I didn't expect was Karen. Every neighborhood has one, and ours wore her title proudly. She was the self-appointed enforcer of the HOA. Clipboard in hand, a perpetual frown creasing her face. She claimed to care about community standards, but everyone knew she cared more about control. It all started one Saturday afternoon. My friends and I were in my backyard, celebrating my promotion. Nothing wild, just a small gathering, soft music, and a few laughs. Around sunset, I noticed Karen standing behind her fence, phone in hand, filming. I tried to ignore it, but 20 minutes later, a white SUV pulled up, HOA security patrol. Apparently, my music was disturbing the peace. The next morning, I found a letter taped to my door. Notice of violation, excessive noise detected on property. Please be advised that further incidents will result in fines. I rolled my eyes. My neighbor's 2 houses down threw full-on karaoke parties every weekend. And Karen never said a word. It felt personal. The next few weeks were tense. Every time I opened my back door, I felt her eyes on me. She'd file petty complaints, grass length, unauthorized garden decorations, even accusing my motion lights of light pollution. It was exhausting. One evening, while taking out the trash, I heard barking. Not the occasional woof of a pet, but a chorus of dogs, maybe 4 or 5, coming from Karen's yard. Odd, since she'd always bragged about being too refined for animals. The barking continued well past midnight, yet no one said a word. The hypocrisy was infuriating. I recorded the noise on my phone, thinking I might need proof later. The next morning, I casually mentioned the barking to my neighbor. Jeff. He chuckled. Yeah, you didn't know. Karen runs some kind of dog rescue out of her shed. HOA doesn't know about it. I raised an eyebrow. You're serious? Dead serious, he said. You should see it. She's got kennels back there. Suddenly, everything clicked, the barking, the smell that sometimes drifted over the fence, her obsession with enforcing everyone else's compliance. She was hiding something big. And if there's one thing HOA Karens hate more than noise, it's getting caught breaking their own rules. I didn't want revenge. At least, that's what I told myself. I just wanted fairness. If she could find me for playing music, then she should answer for the barking that echoed through the neighborhood every night. Still, I knew confronting her directly would go nowhere. Karen wasn't the kind of person who admitted fault, she doubled down. So, I decided to collect evidence. For a week, I set up a small camera facing the fence, angled discreetly from my deck. The footage showed nothing suspicious at first, just her backyard, perfectly manicured by day. But once night fell, the truth came out. Around 9 p.m., she'd flick on a dim floodlight. And several dogs, different sizes and breeds, would appear from a side gate near her shed. She'd feed them, clean cages, and disappear back inside. Sometimes she stayed out until after midnight. The barking was constant. I checked HOA rules online. Operating a kennel, or even housing more than 2 pets, was a major violation, punishable by fines or eviction. The irony made me laugh out loud. I compiled a report, videos, timestamps, and recordings of the barking. But before taking it to the HOA, I wanted confirmation. So I asked Jeff if he'd help me test the noise levels. We spent an evening in my yard, taking readings with a decibel app. When the dogs started up, the meter spiked higher than my party music had. Looks like we've got her, Jeff said, smirking. I drafted an anonymous email to the HOA board, attaching the evidence. While I understand the importance of maintaining community peace, I believe certain members may be violating the same noise standards they enforce. Please review the attached files. 2 days later, the neighborhood buzzed. Karen had been reported for noise pollution. Word spread fast, no one knew who filed the complaint, though everyone suspected me. She stormed around the cul-de-sac. ranting about false accusations and pet persecution. But when HOA inspectors arrived, things escalated fast. They found multiple dog kennels, filled with barking rescues, and no permits. Karen's expression as they photographed her backyard was priceless, part fury, part panic. Still, something didn't sit right. One of the inspectors mentioned there were signs of commercial activity. Extra food bags, invoices, even crates labeled for transport. What kind of rescue was she really running? That's when I realized this was bigger than a nosy neighbor feud. Karen wasn't just breaking HOA rules, she might have been breaking the law. Within a week, Karen's rescue became the neighborhood's favorite gossip. The HOA temporarily suspended her position on the compliance committee pending investigation. But Karen wasn't one to go quietly. She began a campaign to clear her name, claiming she was saving abandoned dogs from kill shelters. It sounded noble until the truth started unraveling. An HOA board member, Mrs. Patel, confided in me after a community meeting. "Between you and me," she whispered, "they found records of dog sales. Not adoptions, sales. She's been breeding and selling dogs under the table." My jaw dropped. Karen, the woman who wrote me up for improperly stored trash cans, was running an illegal breeding operation out of her shed. I felt a weird mix of vindication and disbelief. But the situation was spiraling beyond HOA territory. Animal control got involved, followed by the county inspector. The morning they raided her property, the whole street stood watching behind curtains. Trucks lined the cul-de-sac. Officers carried out cages. And the barking reached a chaotic crescendo. Karen came out shouting, waving papers, claiming she had permits she didn't. They escorted her off the property for questioning, leaving her perfectly trimmed lawn littered with empty cages and scattered toys. It was surreal. Later, the HOA sent an email to all residents. "We regret to inform you that a member of our community has violated multiple regulations involving unlicensed animal operations. We are cooperating with local authorities to ensure proper resolution." For the first time in months, the neighborhood was quiet. No barking, no Karen. Just silence. Jeff and I celebrated with another small get-together. No cameras. No complaints. I played the same playlist that got me reported weeks ago, this time guilt-free. People laughed about the irony. How? The woman obsessed with noise control was the loudest offender of all. A few days later, I found an anonymous letter in my mailbox. "Enjoy your victory. But remember, every neighborhood has eyes." No signature, but I knew who it was. Somehow, Karen was still trying to intimidate me, even from the shadows. But I wasn't worried anymore. Because by then, the truth was out, and once a HOA Karen loses her credibility, there's no coming back. Karen eventually moved out, or rather, was forced out. Between HOA fines, legal trouble, and public humiliation, she didn't stand a chance. Her house went up for sale, and for months. The for sale sign stood like a monument to poetic justice. The air in Maplewood felt lighter, calmer. Animal control rehomed the dogs. And one of them, a golden retriever named Daisy, ended up being adopted by Jeff's family. Daisy loved running along the fence line where Karen's kennels once stood. Free and joyful, as if reclaiming the space. I got a handwritten note from the HOA president thanking me and other concerned residents for bringing the issue to light. I never confirmed it was me. I didn't need credit. Peace was reward enough. Yet, part of me still wondered how Karen thought she could get away with it. Maybe she believed her authority made her untouchable. Maybe the rules were just weapons for her to wield against others. Either way, her downfall became the neighborhood's cautionary tale. The enforcer undone by her own hypocrisy. Months later, a young couple moved into her old house. They painted the fence, added solar lights, and waved whenever they saw me. The barking had long since faded into memory. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I'd sit on my porch and think about how it all began. with one petty noise complaint. Funny how justice sometimes starts with irony. One evening, as I was watering my plants, I spotted a familiar car slowly driving past, silver sedan, tinted windows. Karen's. She didn't stop, just glanced at her old home, then at me. Our eyes met briefly before she drove off. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The next day, I found a flyer in my mailbox. New local dog rescue opening soon, under new management. I laughed. Maybe Karen had learned her lesson, or maybe she hadn't. Either way, Maplewood was peaceful again. And this time, the only sounds drifting through the neighborhood were laughter, lawnmowers, and the soft jingle of Daisy's collar. No barking. No arguments, no HOA drama.